Hi, my name is Marcin Kubacki, I'm Chief Software Architect at Storware, and today we are going to discuss how to protect oVirt and Red Hat virtualization environments with vProtect. vProtect is a snapshot-based backup for, many different platforms, but RHV is one of the key platforms that we support. So, in this video I'm going to have a brief walkthrough the main features that vProtect provides as far as backup is concerned. So let me start with a basic demo, how to log into vProtect and how to initiate simple tasks. So this is the main screen of vProtect web interface. So I'm right now logging into admin panel. And I see dashboard of all of my virtual environments protection and applications protection that are currently registered in vProtect. In our environment, I have 3 data movers. One of them, the last one, is actually related to our oVirt environment. So this one is a data mover that actually connects to RHV environment, downloads data, and stores it later in backup destination. Our oVirt environment for this demo is a small 2-node cluster, and it has several virtual machines currently running. One of them is our demo virtual machine that we intend to backup. This is a vProtect installation. Depending on what you want to do with how your backup strategy looks like for your oVirt environment, installation of vProtect differs. Okay, it can be either deployed on the Hypervisor. If you have a disk attachment mode, that's one of the 2 strategies that we provide for the RHV version 4 environments, or it can be installed outside if it's a disk image transfer API that is used. In our case, we have our oVirt environment registered here on this as the second entry, and it is assigned to our 3rd node. Typically, you initiate index as the first task to gather information about the virtual machines, their drives, clusters, storage that is in there, and once this task completes, you will be able later to see all of the virtual machines on the list. You can see that CentOS and several other VMs have been detected. This one actually is the one that we want to backup during this demo. So once you have your index task completed, you can now initiate backup task and start export of the data. You can store backups in multiple backup providers. You have to choose which one is going to be used in this particular backup. In our case, we have a deduplicated file system backup destination just directly on this node, but it can be any other backup destination, any other backup provider that you have in place that is supported by vProtect. I'm able to initiate both full and incremental backups depending on the mode that you are using with vProtect. You are able to do incremental backups or not. For instance, disk attachment method doesn't support incremental backups yet. I'm going to start a full backup process. This is going to take a while. It's a 2-step process. It's going to export data to our staging space and later move the data to the backup destination. Because this is actually the same file system, store operation is actually instant. At the bottom of the screen you can see Task Console. It will show the progress of the backup tasks and actually of all of the tasks that are going to be invoked today. And you can see that right now our node is connecting to the oVirt environment and is going to download data to the staging space. Okay, It took around 8 minutes to export data from the Hypervisor manager to the staging space. You can see that this is a small virtual machine, it has just 2 gigabytes of data. So once the data is exported to the staging space, vProtect initiated store task. Store task basically puts data in your backup destination. In our case, it's a local file system with the deduplication enabled. Okay, so now I'm able to see that my last backup is actually from today. I will restore this backup. I can restore it either to the file system, which is on the node itself, or I can ask vProtect to restore from backup destination and later import it automatically to your Hypervisor manager. In our case, I'm going to do second option. I can choose between my Hypervisor managers. I want to restore virtual machine to the same Hypervisor manager. I can choose which storage is going to be used, cluster, and optionally I can specify name. So let's call it CentOS restored. Now I have initiated restore task. This is the phase stage of the restore. Restore technically doesn't really have to do anything because the data is on the local file system, so vProtect will automatically recognize that it doesn't need to fetch data from anywhere, it's just there. And once it is completed, it will initiate import. So directly from the file system backup destination, vProtect is able to restore data to your ref manager. In the meantime, we can actually have a short walk around what are the other options available in the as far as the vProtect backup is concerned. So here are the details of our demo virtual machine. I'm able to see how the backups, how big backups. I'm able to check the sizes of the backups that have been completed in the past, as well time it took as well the time that it took to create them. So you can see that you can check actually which stages of the backups took most of the time of the backup itself. So is it an export stage? Maybe you have a bottleneck with your storage, network or something. At the bottom you can notice settings available for the Red Hat related virtual machines. So first of all, there is a backup policy. Policies allow us to sort of group virtual machines, assign priorities to the backups, select which backup destinations are going to be used when scheduled backups are being invoked. As well as the snapshot management policy, either you want to quiesce or freeze file systems on the Red Hat virtualization, or you want to execute pre and post commands on the virtual machine to quiesce a database, for instance, and resume it later after the snapshot is completed. Last option actually requires SSH access, so that you are able to actually give option to allow vProtect to connect to your virtual machine and invoke your custom script to quiesce or resume application. I have told you previously that we support two modes for the Red Hat. There are currently, this is disk image transfer, which supports both full and incremental backups. But you can override on the VM level that probably you would like this particular VM backup with the disk attachment method for any particular reason. Import task has completed, so now we can switch to our oVirt console and we see that our CentOS restored is on the list. So we are able to power on virtual machine. Okay, so virtual machine is booting. In the meantime, let's go back to vProtect and see what else can we do with vProtect. For Red Hat, we support snapshot management as well. So you don't really have to export data with every single backup. You can have a separate snapshot management policy that allows you to periodically create snapshots and just keep certain amount of these snapshots on the list. Okay, so vProtect will handle the retention of these snapshots automatically. Here is our sample snapshot management policy. You can also automatically assign virtual machines to such policies the same as you would do for regular backup policy, based on tags or regular expressions that are matched against names of the virtual machines. We have two virtual machines in this particular policy, and our rule states that there should be 5 snapshots being kept for no longer than 7 days. And these snapshots should be done according to specific schedule. I have Snap Daily here available. So here in the schedules you are able to define more granularly when it is supposed to be executed, if it's supposed to be executed between certain hours during the day and with certain frequency, like in this case it's 60 minutes for each snapshot. All of these snapshots are being shown in here, so you are able to always to see which policy actually was responsible for creating some snapshots. You can revert to specific snapshot directly from vProtect console, or you can see which snapshot is still present on the hypervisor because it's needed for future incremental backups. Disk tabs allows you to exclude drives that you don't need to be part of your backup. In our case we have just a single drive, but obviously you can have more of them, and especially that if you have external tools that back up particular data on some drives, you may want to exclude them. Finally, we have several schedules assigned to our virtual machine, so we are able to have a single view which snapshots are effective for this particular virtual machine. Sometimes you may want to extend your backup capabilities with application backup. So imagine that you have ref environment or oVirt with set of databases. vProtect is able to backup them as well. It is quite common that you already have some custom script in place and they are being executed by your cron jobs. You can actually include them in vProtect so that they are part of the command execution configuration. vProtect is able to execute your custom scripts either locally or remotely over SSH and dump data like database backup or maybe some set of files. You just specify this in particular configuration. Here is the example of vProtect's database backup. Behind the scenes is a MariaDB, it's a MySQL dump, so it's very similar probably to what you have in your data center. And we specified that node is supposed to execute some custom script. In our case it's backupdb shell script and grab file from temp directory. You can assign such configuration to multiple applications so that you can have multiple databases, for instance, executed and backed up with the same exact script. Application is quite an abstract term in this case, because in this particular example it was a MariaDB. So I can use vProtect DB application definition in here and I can say that it is supposed to be backed up with particular execution configuration, and I can also provide different environmental variables. A good use case would be to use it as a DB name parameter, for instance, and specify different value for each database that you have. Quite often we receive questions about the hypervisor protection itself, so your configuration. A good example of a use case with application backup is oVirt internal database. So you want to protect oVirt configuration, you can use application backup as well. Here there is an example of setting up command execution configuration that invokes engine backup script that is present on your hypervisor manager and dump archive that is present in there to the node and later obviously to our backup destination. You can create multiple applications if you have multiple hypervisors, for instance, hypervisor managers in this case, and that allows you to protect not only virtual machines but configuration as well. File level restore. Another option that you probably are going to ask yourself you probably are going to need it at some point. With vProtect, we scan for file systems during backup stage, and once you have your backup completed, you are able to mount them on the node. In our example, I'm going to mount backup that we have previously completed, and I'm going to choose automatic file system mount on the same node. Again, this is a two-stage process. Usually, if the backup provider is external to vProtect, it would need to fetch data first from the backup provider and later mount it on the node. In our case, backups are on the file system that are actually accessible to the vProtect, so they're automatically restored and it's instant in this case. So you can see that restore has completed and now mount operation is going to be executed. Okay, we see that mount has succeeded. Now we are able to connect there and browse files directly on the node. We see that currently we have additional mount point and I can browse and copy files as needed. Finally, what are the options to store backups? Okay, because vProtect supports many different backup providers. The most basic but commonly used backup provider is file system. It can be anything. It can be a remote NFS share. It can be deduplicated plain file system with the VDO or any other deduplication options like DD-Boost file system from Dell EMC. You can use enterprise-grade backup providers. Maybe you already have them in your data center and you probably would like also to use them to protect additional environments such as Red Hat or oVirt. In this case, you can probably want to integrate with IBM Spectrum Protect, with the Veritas Net Backup or Dell EMC Networker. We have also customers that would like to use more and more object storage, and especially cloud-based, such as Amazon's S3 or Microsoft Azure. Sometimes they have storage that is able to expose storage space as an object storage over S3 connector. So we are also able to integrate with such backup providers. Or you probably have some other object storage such as OpenStack Swift also in place. Okay, that's everything as far as the demo is concerned today. So to summarize, vProtect allows you to protect your virtual machines in two ways. There are two main modes. First is disk attachment. It requires node deployment on your cluster. And Second is disk image transfer API, so that you're able to grab data even if you have your vProtect installation outside of the Red Hat virtualization cluster. We have initiated backups, full backup, we have restored it successfully to oVirt environment, and later we have mounted it and browsed files directly from the backup. You also have seen that we support snapshot management, so you are able to enhance your protection of the virtual machine even if you don't export data and don't store this particular snapshot in your backup provider. That's also an option for you if you would like to quickly recover to recent state. And you have also seen that we support many different backup providers, backup destinations, so you can integrate with your existing backup providers that you probably already have in your data center. You can also extend your protection with application backup so that you can protect databases inside your virtual machines or oVirt Red Hat virtualization configuration itself. So thank you for today and stay tuned.